या सभी को नमस्कार. Good afternoon, respected distinguished guests and participants. Myself, Dr. Abhishek Chandra, Program Coordinator and Assistant Professor, Department of Environmental Science, Sri Venkateswar College, University of Delhi. I welcome all of you in 3-day Capacity Development online program on ecosystem restoration and disaster management. This program is jointly organized by National Institute of Disaster Management, NIDM, New Delhi, Society for Environment and Development, SED India, New Delhi, Department of Environmental Science, Sri Venkateswar College, University of Delhi. This program is organized from 5 to 7 July 2020, and these dates are selected to celebrate our 4 festivals. First one is the Man Mahotsav, Forest Festival. It is the annual tree planting festival celebrated by Government of India in the month of the July, which is the 1000th of the year is planted all over the country. Man Mahotsav week is celebrated from the 1st July to the 7th July to the spread the forest conservation and save the environment. Second, आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव. प्रगतिशील भारत की आजादी के 75वें साल और इसके लोगों और संस्कृति की उपलब्धियों के गौरवशाली इतिहास को मनाने और मनाने के लिए भारत सरकार की ये पहल. Third one is the century year in the University of Delhi 2020. Our Delhi University is come and celebrate the 100 year of the existence. And fourth, the Diamond Jubilee celebration of our own college. Our college is also celebrating the 60 years. And from the 20 August 2020 to 20 August 2020. Now come to the 3-day program structure consisting of the 12 lectures, including the keynote and the presidential lectures from 2 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. every day. Without wasting the time, now I request and introduce to our organizing team, including our 2 patrons, Sri Taj Hassan, Executive Director, NIDM, and Professor C. Sila Reddy, Principal, Sri Venkateswar College, Professor Anil Kumar Gupta, Head, ECDRM Division, NIDM, Professor C. Raj Shekharan, President, SED India, and Professor in the VIT Vellore. Our 2 course coordinator, Dr. Sweta Vaidya, Staff Consultant, ECDRM, NIDM, and myself, Dr. Abhishek Chandra, and our 9 student coordinators, which is the smoothly conducting of this 3-day program. Their names are the Nimi, Sachi, Arusi, Megha, Radhika, Ananya, Ansita, Nishita, and Chetna. Once again, welcome all of you. And now I hand over to this virtual dais to the Miss Nimi. Your voice is not coming, Nimi. Come here. Yeah, unmute yourself, Nimi. Yeah, come here. They may come here. Yeah. Yeah, now I invite to the Dr. Sweta Vaidya, the consultant ERDM, to the lightning of this program. Over to you, ma'am. Sweta.
Thank you so much, sir. First of all, I would like to congratulate you and your team for choosing this topic, because in present situation, this is a really important topic, because capacity building though is okay. We need it for every sphere of life. But then the thing, ecosystem restoration, that is the need of the hour, because in disaster management, always people are saying that this is one of the best possible solution for not only for disaster management, but also for resilient building. So resilience is something which we are striving for. We are talking about adaptation. We are talking about resilience building, because without that, we will not be able to come out of the consequences that we are facing every time during every disaster. Therefore, ecosystem restoration is one of the best possible solutions, because I'll come to the details that it is cheap, it is very handy. All of us can take advantage of nature, and we can actually protect ourselves. So taking up this topic itself is really wonderful for this training program, and a huge number of people have registered for this program. I hope many more will join. Until now, I can see close to 200 participants are there. Really happy to see that. And also, I wish that in coming 2 days also, all these participants, along with many more, will join us, and they will really learn many things from this topic. And not only learning, I will request all the participants that whatever you will be learning in these 3 days, please implement that at your level, because the only thing we can do is we can practice the thing at our own level. We cannot only expect that everything government will do for us, or everything someone else will do for us. So we have to implement, we have to learn, we have to exchange that knowledge with other people who are not able to come to this platform and learn. So that will be your basic duty, and that will be the best part of coming to this training program. Not only getting a certificate, you will get a certificate, but make some implementation of what you learn here. So that would be my urge towards the participants. And also I would like to mention to all the participants, if someone is there who have not registered for this program, please do register in NIDM training portal. And also 80% attendance is mandatory for this getting certificate. So if you are present for 80% of the total time of these 3 days, then you will receive a certificate for this program. Also, whenever you are joining the program or whenever you are registering in website, please give your original name, because whatever name you are entering, that will be printed in your certificate. So many times we have seen people are writing Dell 0424 something, or some short name, or some nickname. Please don't do that, because ultimately your certificate will be made on that name. So please give your proper name. And also, once this 3 days program is over, you have to go back to the link in the NIDM portal. You have to go to that program, and when you are trying to download your certificate, you will see one feedback form will be there. You have to fill that feedback form, and then only will be eligible for downloading your certificate. Okay, so in between also, if you have any queries, you can always post in the Q&A session, or in the Q&A box, or you in the chat box. Whomsoever experts are there, they will try to answer your questions. If time permits, definitely they will answer your question. And also, if you have any queries regarding registration or regarding certificate, please do post it here, so that I come to know what is your query or what is your problem. We will try our best to solve it. So with this, I would like to request Professor Chandra to move on with the programs. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Now, Nimi, you can continue. And I request to the Professor Sambasiv Rao, sir, please accept our invitation. We are the change and promote to you as a panelist. Yeah, welcome, sir. Yeah, Nimi, continue.
Thank you, ma'am, for the program initiation, and thank you, sir. Both our patrons, Shri Taj Hassan, IPS Executive Director, NIDM, and Professor Shi Sheila Reddy, could not make it here today because of some unforeseen commitments. They send us their warm regards and their best wishes. Now, I would like to hand over the mic to Megha to introduce our chief guest. Thank you.
Thank you, Arushi. Now I would like to take this opportunity to invite our chief guest, Professor K.R.S. Sambasiva Rao, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Mizoram University, and former rector for Acharya Nagarjuna University. Sir has over 40 years of research experience with 255 published research papers in the field of environmental toxicology and physiology, aquaculture biotechnology, fermentation technology, and 32 years of teaching experience. He is also General Secretary of Association of Biotechnology and Pharmacy and Vice President of Indian Society of Comparative Physiology. All his accomplishments and qualifications cannot be just described in few words. So I'd like to hand over the mic to you, sir, to enrich all of us with your words of wisdom.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Abhishek Chandra.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for accepting our
this
invitation. I am really thankful.
I'm the
to
director
you.
of NIDM. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. The director of NIDM and NIDM HOD, and the principal, Madam Sheila Reddy, and the speakers, Professor Tipalai Garu, the very good friend of mine, and Professor Rajshekaran from VIT, and all the coordinators of this particular program, and the other speakers who have been attending this workshop. It's everyone, good afternoon. Actually, I'm joining through my mobile, so internet is very unstable. If you permit me, I want to switch off my video, because no, it will be somewhat not good in presentation if I'm going in the coming and going. So if you permit, I will switch off. Okay, Abhishek ji.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, no problem.
It was the present workshop on capacity building program for students on ecosystem degradation and disaster management is one of the very important topic, particularly in the present context and scenario of Indian continent. Actually, we are suffering with a lot of disasters and ecosystem degradation because of so many environmental calamities and also physical calamities which we are come across in the past few years. And the workshop, actually, I congratulate the Department of Environmental Science and Sri Venkateswara University College and the University of Delhi. And also, I appreciate the National Institute of Disaster Management under Minister of Home Affairs and the Society for Environment and Development, who has chosen this particular topic. It was a wonderful topic of a particular scenario. And also, it is wonderful that the students are actually been trained in capacity building, particularly the situation of the disaster management and the ecosystem degradation area. Capacity building, actually, what we talk to when we are talking about capacity building, students are actually need to be provided with an environmental science knowledge, and also particularly about what is this particular ecosystem degradation, what is ecosystem and what is ecosystem degradation, and how disasters are causing this ecosystem degradation, and it is very important that the students should be provided with some kind of knowledge and also practical oriented knowledge. As you know that we need to provide them understanding what are the reasons for ecosystem degradation, particularly environmental science students. They need to be provided with this kind of knowledge, and how disaster has been caused and how disaster management has to be done. These are very important issues, and because in turn the students can go back and they can enlighten the society people how this particular system is going on, how ecosystem is degraded because of the various human activities, and this knowledge has to be provided for the students. Environmental degradation is very common in India because of the various human activities, particularly deterioration of environment through various resource depletion, indiscriminate exploitation of the environmental resources, particularly use of the quality of environment, particularly air, water, soil, and the destruction of the ecosystems, and habitat destruction, and the wildlife extinction because of the continuous deforestation, and environmental pollution because of various reasons. All this will cause ecosystem degradation. So these are very particularly, the students were well aware of this particular degradation of the ecosystem, and how this ecosystem degradation and disaster. Actually, these disasters sometimes are very severe. If you see the Northeast region where I'm now been hailing, talking from Northeast region, if we just see for the past 15 days, Northeast is total, many states, actually Assam particularly, very severely affected by the floods of recent heavy rains and Brahmaputra River. And several of the cities, particularly the neighboring city of Silchar of Mizoram, has been flooded with water almost up to knee and above, full of water almost more than 10 days. The whole Silchar city has been waterlogged. And people are not having water, even drinking water, and not even vegetables or daily ration. Everything has been a big problem. So this is a disaster. That is a natural disaster, particularly because of the floods and heavy rain which has been caused. And even the Northeast region, I'm talking that many of the areas, these floods are very common in India, particularly this situation because of the heavy rains and floods of the rivers. Actually, this is very common in the Northeast India, North India, and also in plain regions. This particularly riverine environments, this kind of situation is very common. And because of this ecosystem degradation, the change of climate, and if we just see in the past few years, the temperature has been increased, global temperature has been increased, including the Northeast region and the hilly regions. Climate global warming has took place, and climate change has been taken place, and several species has been extinct. Several species are overexploited, and pollution is one of the biggest area. And several natural health disorders are also come across because of the particular environmental pollution. And this has caused the ecosystem degradation, and biodiversity has been affected. And many ecosystems are actually aquatic, terrestrial, and and hilly environment. Everything was degraded. And this has caused in turn shortage of food, and lands become very barren, and several areas food is also not available. And in fish in season, sea and river systems, particularly continuous exploitation of the natural resources, the fish loss has been very severe. And even they could at the juvenile stage, the fishes were hunted and taken, and loss of species has been very prevalent in a particular area. And in the hilly areas, you can see, particularly during the rainy seasons, a lot of landsliding and even earthquakes. Actually, in the Northeast region where I'm living now, in the last 3 years, actually, we come across more than 25 times the earthquakes in this particular area. And during this time, the houses, damage of the houses, the damage of the roads, and obstruction of the region, and all this will cause a lot of sustenance of the human ecosystem is one of the biggest issue, and the people actually will lose several of the natural immediate things. So how this ecosystem degradation to be contemplated, and how this disasters through various landslidings, earthquakes, rains, floods, and the pollution, all how it is to be managed and how it is to be restored. This is very big question. The students has to be provided this kind of knowledge, because they are the educated people. They go back to the society and they talk about this management of the environment and management of the system. It is very important that they should be trained. So this disaster management is one of the important area that the students has to be trained. So that's why this has got a tremendous significance, and this has got a tremendous significance, and the workshop has been prime important for students to be trained in this particular 3 days program. I congratulate all of you. Disaster management is conservation of the lives again of the people, and properly not come to them, to bring them to normalcy and the natural tendency, human made disasters to normal conditions. And disaster management will plan how to protect the spread of diseases. You know very well about the COVID spread in the last 2 years, how people have suffered, and how people has been in a panic condition for the past 2 years about the COVID-19, and how India has been made a tremendous progress because of our government timely actions, and how it has been reduced, and the food chain has also been restored very nicely, and it has been taken proper measures and disaster management. Exactly, we can say that this prevalence of diseases has been controlled by Government of India. Disaster management has been efficiently, very complete. These are man-made diseases, we say, because why COVID-19 is actually, people suspects that it is because of certain people's group of people who has made this. This is what actually I feel. So this particular study and preparedness, and also the response of the people, and recovery from the practical situation, everything is nothing but disaster management. So this is wonderful program and wonderful workshop. Actually, I congratulate Dr. Abhishek Chandra and the NIDM director and head of the department, and also the National Society for Environment and Development for planning this kind of workshop, particularly for students, so to mitigate them from this particular situation, and also aware them, and also to understand them this particular system, and proper measures how to be taken, and how it has to be controlled, how management has to be taken, done, everything. It is a wonderful opportunity for students to learn. So I thank Dr. Abhishek Chandra and Madam Shilpa for giving you an opportunity to interact with all of you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening lectures and given to the world, and given to the synthesize the ecosystem degradations, management of environment, disaster management, and it will be the Northeast. You are taken to the case study of the flood management into the Northeast region. So, and you are the accepted our invitation in the short notice. So I am really thankful to you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening words. You talked about fishes loss. We all must take a note of it. Now I would like to invite Dr. Anil K. Gupta, Head ECDRM Division, NIDM, MHA, Government of India. Professor Gupta is Professor and Head of Environment and Climate Disaster Risk Management Department, NIDM. Sir is a sustainability risk management strategist working in the area of disaster management, environment and climate resilience for more than 25 years with national, subnational and business administration. He is looking after various international and national projects of policy research, planning and capacity building.
Dr. Anil Gupta, unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah, sir. Anil, sir, we are requesting to unmute yourself.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Now audible. Yes, sir.
So thank you, Doctor,
Yes, sir.
for taking this very important initiative. So my compliments to you, Dr. Chandra,
Thank you so
my
much, sir.
colleague, Dr. Shweta, and it was wonderful to listening to Professor Raj Shekharan, Professor Pulaya, Professor Rao, and many others who are having a long experience on this subject, and they are personally very much dedicated on this subject. So that is very important. And I see a number of the young colleagues, young researchers. So a lot of energy is there, and as our Prime Minister always emphasizes that under his 10-point agenda on disaster risk management. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we also have a core focus on promoting women leadership in disaster management. So that applies here in the practice of conservation also, when we try to promote ecosystem-based approaches. There also, that is very important, whether it is in the rural areas, cities, or in our educational system. We are looking at more and more such women leaders to come forward and work as a team to take this agenda forward. This topic is very relevant. And as Dr. Chandra was listing some of the important days which it is coinciding with, but more so, it is also very important to quote two things. One is that we are in this 10 years, UN has declared as UN Decade for Eco-Restoration. When we tell anything about restoration, it means it is also a recognition of something seriously lost. It means now we have realized that ecosystems are lost and we have to regain it. We have to recover it. So that is very important. And just to add that the year 2023, the next year, that is going to be the International Year of Millets. So that is also relating with how we are looking at our old customs, old ancient India, whether that is inherited through our the Vedas and Upanishad, and the information and knowledge that is shared by lot of spiritual preachings and information in India, but also across the world. Most of such religions bring very important information that how should we protect nature, how should we live with nature. But more so, now this issue has become more and more emergent. Just to share with you that in India, 2019, India hosted the 14th Conference of Parties of UN Convention on Combating Desertification, UNCCD, that was held in July 2019 in Delhi. And very interestingly, all the heads of the countries, when they discussed together, all agreed that we will need to have an action plan to plan and basically releasing land back to nature. See how interesting and how difficult this target is. When everyone wants more and more land, who is there who is going to release the land? If I ask any of member who is attending this training program, whether a resource person, whether a student, whether is a participant, is ready to release the land back to nature? Is anyone ready who will say that, okay, I am vacating my house, now demolish it and give it back to nature? I think everyone wants more and more land. So at the time when we are interested in grabbing more and more land, a decision that we will have to think and start releasing land back to nature is very crucial, very important. But it is inevitable. It is inevitable because if we look at the futuristic sustainability of the human being and also the protection from disasters in future, I think this is very important that we start looking at the ecosystem services and also the kind of critical challenges these ecosystems and biodiversity resources are facing. We have international agencies like IUCN, UNEP, and several others, WWF, several other agencies who are also leading this cause at global level. But in India, our Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, that has a slogan that Prakriti Rakshita. It means the people who protects nature, or the community which protects nature, is protected by calamities. So that also indicates direct linkage between natural protection and disaster risk management. And within disaster risk management, the new approach, in fact, it is not very new, but we have just coined the new term. The new term, I'm just happy to share that the term has been coined by me in a meeting in UN campus Bonn in 2010, and all the parties agreed. And now globally, people are working on that aspect with lot of vigor and pace. That is ECO-DRR, ecosystem-based approach to disaster risk management. And now the has standard for NBS. And I think NBS is a very, very common terminology for all the environment science people, all the disaster risk management people, people who are interested in sustainability across our cities, villages, industrial systems, and all the other aspects. So I'm very, very happy that this topic has been chosen today, that how do we look at ecosystems for the survival and sustainability of the human development. And I'm sure that this program is going to be a great support and in improving and enhancing our knowledge base, and also in exchanging a lot of ideas between the experts and also with the participants. I'm very happy to see more than 270 participants. That shows that the keen interest of the people in this subject. And once again, my compliments to Dr. Chandra and the entire team and all the resource persons who are going to grace this occasion by their knowledge. So thank you very much. And once again, my best wishes and compliments to all of you. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us. Right, sir. It's high time to become more vigilant at individual level. We should definitely switch to more sustainable world. Now I would like to invite Dr. Rajshekaran. Professor Rajshekaran is currently working as a professor, Department of Biotechnology, Science of Biosciences and Technology, Vellore, Institute of Technology in Vellore. He is an experience of 25 years in the field of research and 19 years in teaching. His PhD topic was changes in the action of enzyme of ammonia assimilation in plants along with an altitudinal gradient. He has won many awards and honors and fellowship like JRF in 1995, SRF in 1988. He is also the member in various professional bodies like the Linnean Society of London, Royal Society of Biology, Ethnobotanical Society of Nepal, Himalaya Research Foundation, Indian Society for Plant Physiology. He is also president of Society for Environment and Development, New Delhi, popularly known as SCT India. He has published around 106 publications. He has presented 120 papers in various seminars. He has attended 47 seminars.
Yeah, good afternoon to one and all. It's my immense pleasure to be on this forum also. As this training program is a very, very important program on the, it's a high need of the hour also. As you know, the eco restoration and disaster management, it's a very attractive and catchy terminology also, as well burning topic of as on date, because this UN Council of UN Council of our Global Society has chosen this particular decade as a eco restoration decade, also as well as a disaster. Every day we are facing it. In this regard, we are also going to have a very good session on this particular 3 days. And as I find here, the leading personalities like Dr. Sweta Baidia, then the principal of this particular college, Professor Sheila Reddy, as well, finding our, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mizoram University, Professor K.S.R. Samasiva Rao, as well the head of the department, Dr. Anil K. Gupta, and one of our senior most Professor Pullaya, and other leading personalities are going to give the deliberations of this particular event. And one or another way, every day we face some sort of ecosystem deterioration and disbalancing, and this leads to give some of our disasters also across our day-to-day life. How we are going to mitigate it, how we are going to overcome. This will be a really awareness program rather than saying a training program or something. So every young minds will be going to have the awareness how to face this challenge and manage our eco system balancing. And our Dr. Anil Gupta has given this thing, female gender is going to play an important role in our conservation. It's a very important aspect on these days, because our ecosystem is actually governed by female gender. We used to
Yeah, I think that there is some technical issue at the end of the Professor C. Rajshekharan. So we are unable to listen him. So this type of the glitches is happening in the online program. There is no problem. So we are to proceed to the furthermore. And I thankful to all the participants and our both the patron, Sri Taj Hassan ji, and our principal, Srila Reddy ji, and thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor as a chief guest, the KRS Sambasiv Rao, to given and accept our invitations and give the keynote address in this program. I thanks to the Professor Anil Gupta sir. I thanks Professor T. Pulia sir. I thanks Professor C. Rajshekharan, and thanks to all the participants with my webinar coordinators, Shweta Vaidya, and all the student coordinators. So we are the further proceed towards our first invited lecture of the Professor T. Pulia sir. So I invite our student coordinator to introduce to our Professor T. Pulia sir.
Professor T. Pulia obtained his MSc and PhD degrees in botany from Andhra Pradesh University. He was the postdoctoral fellow at Moscow University, Russia during 1998. He traveled widely in Europe and USA and visited universities and botanical gardens in about 17 countries. Professor Pulia joined Sri Krishnadeva University as lecturer and later became professor. He had several positions in university. He was selected by UGC and UGC BSR faculty fellow and is working now in Sri Krishnadeva University. Professor Pulia has published 62 books, 305 journals, 35 popular articles. He is principal investigator of 20 major research papers totaling more than ₹1 crore. Today, Professor Pulia will upskill our knowledge on topic biodiversity, threats, and conservation. Sir, you're not audible.
Just unmute. I think unmute, sir.
Sir, you are not audible. You can. We are unable to listen you, sir. Pulia sir. Sir, your voice is not coming. Yeah. Yeah, sir is the again joined, and I promoted to him as a panelist. So yeah, now connected with the audio.
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption. Share with you.
No problem, sir.
Share screen. No. Share.
Yeah. Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Perfect.
Yeah. Sorry for interruption. Technicalities. Right. Dr. Abhishek Chandra, Dr.
Yes, sir.
Anil Gupta,
Yes,
Professor Sambasirao, Rajshekharan, and other friends. Thank you for giving me opportunity to speak to a large audience of more than 270 participants. Let me come to my talk. The biodiversity and conservation. Yeah, this is the what I want to speak. But before I go to biodiversity and conservation, let me talk on World Environment Day, 5th June. Why this day was declared as World Environment Day? The first United Nations Conference on Environment and Development was held in Stockholm. Remember, from 5th June to 16th June. That day was declared by United Nations as World Environment Day. Please remember, 5th June. Why that day was, why that conference was held in Stockholm in 5th, where only two heads of governments have participated. One is Olof Palme of Sweden and Prime Minister Indira Gandhi of India. Remember, only two heads of government. Till then, they used to discuss only about development, etc., but not any environment aspects. Why they discussed? Remember, 70% of the Swedish lakes on that 72 were fishless. When they found that it is because of acid rain, and acid rain came not from Sweden, it came all the way from all the European countries, including England or United Kingdom. Why? Because they left fossil fuels, and that was a disaster. Remember, disaster management, ecosystem restoration. That's why. The second conference, remember, once again was held after 10 years in Kenya, in Nairobi, when 40 heads of governments have participated. Remember, earlier I told you 2 heads of governments only, whereas now in 82, 40 heads government. Whereas the third one was held in Rio de Janeiro from 3rd to 14th June, once again on 5th June. Please remember, 176 countries participated, or 120 heads of governments have participated. Remember, from 2 to 40 to 176. That shows that importance of this environment. What have they discussed at summit? It is called as at summit 1972. What have they discussed? They discussed 3 things: climate convention, CBD, Convention of Biological Diversity, and then Global Environmental Facility. This biodiversity convention was signed by 156 countries plus European Union, but so far USA has not signed CBD, Convention of Biological Diversity. Remember, this is a disaster. Please remember, when you want restoration of the cultivated plants or the ecosystems, the main culprit is such developing countries, where they have not even signed now till now. Now, remember, what is biodiversity? Well, you are all knowledgeable persons, but here let me read. Variety, variability, and the systems in which organisms live is called as biodiversity. Variety, variability, systems in which organisms live. Variety stands for species diversity. Variability stands for genetic diversity. Systems in which the organisms live is called as ecosystem diversity. Please remember, that is what we are talking about, ecosystem restoration. But how many species are there in the world or the globe? Well, nobody knows, and it is only estimated. So this is an estimated number of species. They estimated the total number of species as 33.5 million. Is only guess estimate. Nobody knows how many are there. It's only guess estimate. But how many have been identified? Of these, only 1.39 million have been identified. Remember the bottom. That is, only 4% of the species have been identified. Please remember, not known to you. Nobody bothered much about it earlier. Now, of course, 30 million insects. Remember, percent. That means what is there? Some said or others that if it's there may be beneficial insects there, and you have to look into identification, cataloging, and then putting them together in order. That is in floras, faunas, etc. Of these, for example, of the 15,000 mammals, reptiles, and amphibians, of course, that is bigger animals, so that's why 95% have been identified. Whereas birds, out of 9,225, 9,040 have been identified. Fish, 21,000, 19,000 have been identified. Plants, please remember, here I am a plant specialist. Plants, out of 4,80,000, only 3,22,311, 67% have been identified. That means much is more to be identified. Similarly, invertebrates and microorganisms, out of 3 million, only 2,76,000 have been identified. Remember, the beauty of the orchids, the ecosystem restoration, for example, remember, many of the tropical rainforests are disappearing because of these, many of the orchids, beautiful orchids. For example, this is the latest slipper orchid, and they are getting lost. Now, remember, coming back once again to disaster. 1,700 million hectares of tropical forest constitute only 7% land area. I repeat, please remember, 1,700 million hectares of tropical forest constitute only 7% land area. But remember, they have more than 50% of the species of flora and fauna. That means only 7% area, but 50% of the species. Well, these are mostly tropical countries. Remember, tropical forests. I'll tell you one example. 15-hectare patch of rainforest in Brunei, 700 odd species of trees. Remember, not 700 trees I am talking. 700 tree species are being identified, as many as whole of North America. Remember here, 15-hectare patch has 700 tree species, whereas whole of North America, north of Mexico, that is USA, Canada, Alaska, put together have less than 700 tree species. That means tropical countries are rich in biodiversity. Only thing is, it is being degraded mercilessly now. Now, point is, yeah, remember, this is one of the, I was in Missouri Botanical Garden, a few years back, where this Amorphophilus titanum flower is very rare. Now it is disasters. Yeah. What is happening? We are cutting down the forest mercilessly. At what rate? Remember, disasters once again and ecosystem restoration. 12 million hectares. This is 1980s, not 2020s. It is 1980s. 12 million hectares of tropical forest total forest we are cutting down, of which 8 million hectares from Brazil, 1.5 million hectares you are cutting down every year. Remember, this is every year we are cutting down. That is in India, every 5 years we are losing forests of the size of Haryana. That means you have disasters. Yeah, this is Professor K.S. Rao from Delhi University has studied Himalayan Podu cultivation, shifting cultivation, northeast and other places where this shifting cultivation has destroyed much of it, but restoration has to be done. This earlier, tribals were less number, but now it is more. And then, of course, illegal logging is more problem. Well, there are, as I told you, many species are there which are not yet identified or not yet discovered. And some of our students discovered new species, and one of them was named as Brachystelma pullae and my name. Well, another species is Sirapegia pullae. Once again, this is in dry parts. We also found, another species called as Brachystelma nigidianum, and it is from Anantapur, which is second driest place. But still, we could find new species. That means, as I told you, out of 4,80,000, only 3,20,000 have been identified. Many more. I'll come back to this. Yeah, we also described another new species called as Dermaphocalyx. I would like to just emphasize that there are many new species which are yet to be identified, and they may be lost before the degradation of the forest. Because of this degradation of forest, these which are maybe useful are being lost first. This is male plant, Dermaphocalyx. This is a female plant. Well, we described also several new species. One of them is Dipicata cristidevarii, from our Anantapur district. This is another Cycas shesha-chalamensis. Cycas beddomai is endemic and endangered. It is in Schedule 2 of Tirumala Hills, Shesha-Chalam Hills, whereas this is a different species of Shesha. Yeah, let me tell you just one example here. India added 540 species in faunal database in 2021. 1 year I am talking, taking to the total number of animal species to 1,03,258. Whereas out of this 540, I am talking only 1 year. Out of the 540 faunal species, 406 are new discoveries, 134 are new records. The country also added 315 taxa to Indian flora in 2021, taking to floral wealth to 55,048. Well, some of the examples, just I wanted to emphasize the point that there are many such new species. Fimbristylis sunila in United Proboi, Argeria Sharad Chandra G.A. Remember, this is named after Sharad Pawar. Simplocus mohanai, Allium nigianum from Uttarakhand. These are some of the new species which are described from the. Well, let me talk one which are our disasters are happening. Our ecosystems are going. This is one species called as Cyathea spinulosa, which is very common, in East Godavari, West Godavari, Eastern Ghats. But remember here, Jindal, they are going to mine for bauxite. And within a few years, you can expect that this plant may be extinct, from this region. Of course, thanks, to the government of Tamil Nadu, in Kodaikanal and other places it is there. 3 species of Cyathea occur in Andhra Pradesh, but you may not expect after a few years, this particular Cyathea spinosa, Cyathea gigantea, Cyathea crinta. These are the 3 ferns. Remember, you have seen only ferns of 1 meter, but this is 1.5, 2 meters height, and 1.5 meter long leaf. This is which ecosystems, degrading because of the bauxite mining, that is aluminum mining. Well, remember, this is bryophytes. Till I started work, in 2000, nobody worked on bryophytes of Andhra Pradesh. Shocking. Remember, it is there, we have so many bryophyte specialists, but nobody has worked on this particular, not even a single record of bryophytes are there from Andhra Pradesh. Shocking. We all started, Funaria, Polytrichum, Rixia, Markancha, etc., but not recorded anything that is much less about it. We recorded, about 95 taxa from Andhra Pradesh. This you can find 94 species, 67 genera. But on sustained investigation, our scholars are now saying that there are more than 200 species of bryophytes. I just wanted to show you beautiful photographs of this. Yeah, I can see that the capsules of Exormatheca ceylonensis. Well, these are some of the Demarchiara. You can see these receptacles. What I'm talking is cataloging has not been done, in this survey, cataloging, floristic accounts has not been done so far. Remember, in Aichi targets says that, you should have online flora of all the countries by 2020. We have already passed, but Indian flora is not there. Pakistan has a flora, Sri Lanka has a flora, China has a flora, but India, we are still following a book written by Joseph Dalton Hooker, who wrote between 1862 to 1883. Still remember, where he reported only 10,000 species, but now we have more than 17,000 species of angiosperms only. So that means, we are much behind of the Aichi targets and disasters. Yeah, this is Annuera pinguis. Well, this is remember Anthoceras. Well, you can see the Bryum coronatum, Bryum capillare, remember here capsule, whether it is down, up, or side facing. Remember, this is only just to show you importance of biodiversity in India. Let me come back to that particular later on. But where are these biodiversity? Remember, the top 11 countries: Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, China, Mexico, Australia, South Africa, Indonesia, Venezuela, Peru, India. India is in 11th position. Remember, Brazil has 55,000 species of angiosperms, that is flowering plants. Colombia, remember here, none of the G8 countries, no USA, no Canada, no Australia, no Germany, no France, no Japan. Remember, none of these 5 countries, top 5 countries, figure in this biodiversity list. So point is that these countries which are, in tropical countries which are rich in biodiversity, but poor in utilization. That is a problem which I would like to stress. Amazonian forests are dwindling alarmingly. Australian bushfires have lost, almost 1 million animals, in the last two years back. Whereas Colombia is also like that, Brazil, they are cutting down the forests and then changing to fields. Well, what is the compared to account of the different animal species, plant species, etc.? Remember here, Protista, India has 3,500, whereas world 11%. Remember here, you can see the comparative table there. India world area is only 2.4%, but has more than 8% of the species. You can see that some of them are 9%, 13%. For example, birds, 13%, whereas fishes, you have 9%, whereas area is only 2.4%. That means we are rich in biodiversity, but poor in utilization and cataloging. Well, coming to the plants, which I am a specialist there, bacteria 850 in India, whereas 4,000 in the world. Whereas viruses, we don't have an account on Indian viruses. Algae, we have 8,979 species of algae. Our world, remember 17%. Whereas fungi, there are about 90,000 and we have 77,000 documented. Well, Government of India records is only 15,000, but Professor Manorachari says that is 27,000. That means nearly 30%. So here, once again, angiosperms, we have more than 17,000, and then 3,60,000. It has now come to 21,000 angiosperms. That is 7% a year. Now let me come back to another point here. Then you all ask me, what is the use of this biodiversity? Remember, man was a hunter. Later on, he was a gatherer, and then he started cultivating, plants of which are useful. So all cultivated plants originated naturally from the forest. Indian region has given to the mankind 167 crop species. What are those? Whereas whole of USA has given to the mankind only one species, sunflower, that is Helianthus annuus. Indian region has given to the mankind, rice, sugarcane, minor millets, pigeon pea, brassicas, rice bean, Asiatic ignas, brinjal, banana, citrus. Remember, citrus grows naturally in the northeast. Bananas grow Western Ghats, naturally in the forest. Brinjal, there are hundreds of varieties, in brinjal in India. What I'm talking is, Indian region has given to the mankind 167 crop species, and there are 320 wild relatives of crop plants. That means you may ask me, why these wild relatives. I'll come back to point later on. But remember, each this cultivated plant is $1 billion business now. So that means, for example, I'll give you one example. BT cotton. You may not be knowing that Monsanto made this BT cotton, Bacillus thuringiensis, but you may not be knowing Bacillus thuringiensis was taken from the black cotton soils of Mahanandi in Andhra Pradesh, and they cultured the black soil and obtained Bacillus thuringiensis and transferred crygene to the cotton. That when Mahanandi Panchayat asked for Monsanto to pay the royalty because they have taken, they said no. Point is CBD. What is CBD? Conventional biological resistance, which I talked about in 1992. According to CBD, wherever you take the biological material, that people should get a share. That country should get a share. Are these Western countries, or these giants of industry are paying? For example, just now I told you BT cotton. Are they paying royalty to the Mahanandi Panchayat? No, they said no. Point is, that is where our systems failure. That some of the developing countries are saying that we don't sign this particular. Remember, as just now I told you, just one state, two, three examples I'll take. One wild relatives of crop plants. I told you, wild relatives of crop plants give, for example, Vareja, Officinalis vareja, subspecies Malampogesis, resistant to rice blast disease. Remember, these are wild. I'll give you one example. Rice crop was destroyed in Southeast Asia, 260,000 hectares by a disease called as grasses virus. Resistant gene came from the central Madhya Pradesh, where tribal people were growing in Vareja nivara. And International Rice Research Institute from Manila took this Vareja nivara to Manila, and they bred with the local variety and developed a variety which is resistant to grass-resistant virus. Rich farmers in Southeast Asia got benefit, but the tribals got nothing. CBD says wherever you have taken, that particular people should get the share. That country should get a share. Point is this one. So these are some of the examples of your dal, Kejan. Wild relatives are present, in even I'm talking about Andhra Pradesh. Let me not know more. Vareja Mariana. Vareja officinalis, Vareja jaipurensis. Remember, rice has originated in South Asia, especially in India and China. So these are the wild relatives which grow naturally in the forest. And even now you can find this particular species here. And after some time you may lose. For example, Portiricia correctata or Vareja correctata is available in Koringa estuary, but after some time you will not get it because of this ecosystem degradation. Well, these are the germplasm. The best germplasm bank is in USA. Remember, in 1966, remember when I talk about this particular thing, in 1966, we were producing only 60 million tons of food grains. Thanks to three people, MS Swaminathan, Indira Gandhi, and then, C. Subramaniam, we were able to green revolution. And now we are, thanks to the government initiative, we are producing 260 million tons of food grains last year. So point is, this is because of this germplasm bank and then, using high yielding varieties. But remember, this has also some of the drawbacks, but that has to be overcome. So All these wild relatives of crop plants or cultivated plants variety. Remember here, I would like to tell there are at least 1,05,000 varieties of rice, 80,000 varieties of wheat, 40,000 varieties of maize. In India alone, there are 50,000 rice varieties, but much of them is disappearing because we are now using high-yielding varieties. Well, as I told you, wild relatives of crop plants, millets 51, fruits 104. These wild relatives are useful for breeding, for disease resistance, high-yielding nutrition components, etc. Well, this is about, I'll tell you one example, animals. Ongol bull, there's a bull called as Ongol bull. Brazil took Ongol bull to Brazil. They bred with the local variety and they exported to beef to America. They earned billions of dollars by exporting beef, which has originated from Ongol in Andhra Pradesh. This Ongol bull now is being used for breeding for beef in 32 countries. In Ongol bull in Brazil costs now 5 crores of rupees because it has more beef. So this is a point which I would like to stress. One example, wild relatives of animals. Well, let me tell you one example, which biopiracy. Well, this is a plant called, as you all know, about Azadirachta indica or neem. When I got a child in my childhood, chicken pox, my grandmother brought leaves, made paste, and then rubbed all my body. Point is, this is the experience of most of the Indians in India. But remember, in America, they took a patent on 7 patents on neem. And one of them is this antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial, etc., etc. And India has to fight this patent case, and CSR has to spend crores of rupees to revoke this particular patent. Another such example is Phyllanthus amaris or Bui amla, and this is being used for treating jaundice. This is also being patented, and in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, people use this particular. Well, another example, which is is this plant called as Catharanthus rhogeus, vincristine, vinblastine. There is no medicine for this blood cancer, Hodgkin's disease before 1985. They found vincristine, vinblastine in this particular plant. Remember, it's $1 billion business, but this plant is not Indian, it is Madagascar periwinkle. Remember here, National Institute of Cancer in Washington, D.C. screened 29,000 species of plants, but they could not find an alternative for this. This is the only plant which has this and Hodgkin's. Well, when I talk about biodiversity, this is a plant called as Trichopas gelanicus, also called as Aragyapacha. Scientists have found that this is anti-fatigue compound, and for example, Pushpangadan, they patented and they showed to the world how it can be shared. They sold it to a company, 50% of the, because they have produced and market, 50% profit goes to company, 20% to the scientists, and 30% to the Kani tribes who gave this information. Remember, this is how benefit sharing. Knowledge came from the tribal people. So they created a common account and for these Kani tribes, and they are depositing this money for the welfare of these particular tribes. This is how CBD can be shared. Well, this is another plant which is found in America and then Europe. They are selling what is called as let me come back. This plant, yeah, this is Caralluma. Remember here, zero size. Many people talk about this particular size, and this comes from a plant called as Caralluma fimbriata or Caralluma ascendens variety fimbriata. And this is, remember, let me come back. Yeah, this is a plant, and it is in America. They are selling by 30 pills, $22. But the plant comes from India, Deccan, Africa, Arabia, etc. It is not there in America and Europe, but they are selling, and it is $1 billion business. It comes from a plant called as leafless plant called as Caralluma ascendens variety fimbriata. This is, you can see, risk-free, slender luma, all comes from what is called as Caralluma, and they say risk-free trial. Well, another example of this particular plants is Strychnos potatorum. This is called as cleaning nuts. Remember here, these are the seeds. Tribal people in East Godavari, Eastern Ghats, they use stream water, but in rainy season they become muddy. They clean this water by making this paste or powder, and then mixing it with the water collected from streams. And remember, this is a bioflocculant. It flocculates and then settles down at the bottom, all the muddy and then bacteria, viruses. That's why this is called as cleaning nuts. Bombay Municipal Corporation is purchasing 20,000 tons of these cleaning nuts from Girijan Cooperative Corporation. Remember, this is a national broom, Aristida cetacea. Well, let me not go to the floristic account. Remember that's you are not cataloging. We have cataloged this particular flora, plants, animals, etc. We have prepared. We are as Abhishek was telling, we have written more than 100 books, and then these are some of the books which I am showing. Well, let me not go into the flora of Andhra Pradesh. Yeah, this is what we have done in our work. Yeah, we have also written, as I told you, in Andhra Pradesh alone, there are more than 700 tree species, whereas whole of North America, north of Mexico, that is USA, Canada has less than 700 tree species. We also documented several floras, medicinal plants we have written. And we have written also Biodiversity India, Global Biodiversity, we have written 4 volumes. Our books are there in all the European libraries. This is in New York Botanical Garden, and also you can find in Library Congress. Yeah, biodiversity. When I talk about biodiversity, there were at least 40,000 tigers in 1900. And India had home for 17. But in 2006, there were only 14 living tigers. Remember, 1,400 living tigers. There are 40,000 in 1900, but now, of course, to the protection measures, now it has come to 22,967. Remember, there are many which are being smuggled. For example, star tortoise. Remember, you can see the star tortoise. This is being smuggled 1 lakh for 1 lakh rupees SPs, and that is being smuggled in Bangalore airport. Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, and Deccan, many of these specimens are being smuggled. These are the animals which we have photographed in our work, during our. Yeah, these are snakes. All snakes are not poisonous. Only out of 30 snakes in Andhra Pradesh, only 4 snakes are poisonous, and we found that these are ecosystem protectors. Remember, these kill rats, and then rats thereby reducing the loss of crops. So point is, we did kill the snakes in 1.5 years. We collected 600 snakes and then left in the forest, not killing them. Well, people say that medicine. Let me give you one example. Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Thumbs Up, etc. are drinks which we are using nowadays. You might not know what is there in the Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Thumbs Up, etc. There is nothing. On the bottle, they say no calories, no fruit juices, no sugar, etc. But what is there is not written there. It is chlorpyrifos and quinalphos. Remember, if you drink daily 200 ml of Pepsi or Coca-Cola Thumbs Up, after 1 year you will get cancer. Remember, Pepsi, Thumbs Up, and Coca-Cola are not being sold in Parliament canteen or assembly canteens. Please remember this. Then you may ask me, how to overcome this problem of. You can use this, what is called as local drinks, called as Nanari. This is Decalapis hamiltoni, or it is Nanari, locally called as Magali Beko, etc. It has 3-hydroxy-4-methoxybenzaldehyde. Why you use all these things? Also, you can also use Nimbu Pani, coconut water, and our farmers will get benefit out of this. Why do you? That Western companies are spending 300 crores of rupees on advertisement, taking away 10,000 crores to America. Remember, this is disaster simply, and they have no medicinal benefit, etc. This is the relative of the Decalapis hamiltoni. This is Amidus messendicus. It also has 3-hydroxy-4-methoxybenzaldehyde. Yeah, once again, coming back, we have described many new species. These are some of the new species which we have described. This is Brachystelma nullamalayana, Brachystelma penchalaconaceae. Yeah, these are Keralimas, as I told you, since time is over. Well, how disaster. This is Keralima sarkariae, described from Madurai Kamaraj University opposite campus. But remember that as now a colony has come up, this plant has disappeared. So point is, you have to take urgent steps. That's why how we are conserving in our garden. Well, these are some of the plants which are of interest to some of the students. Yeah, remember, hotspots. Abhishek Chandra has written, and then his professor are writing, we are writing a book, 36-volume book. Remember, we have written more than 100 books, and those of you who are interested in can join me in writing books. We are writing a book, a 36-volume book on hotspots of world, and Abhishek Chandra has contributed two chapters, if I remember, one chapter on Himalayan biodiversity hotspots. And we are bringing out 2 volumes are in press, Western Ghats Sri Lanka, and also Himalayan biodiversity hotspot is in press. And these are some of the biodiversity hotspots. You can see the Western Ghats, Sri Lanka, 2,000 species are endemic, whereas Indo-Burma region has 7,000 species are endemic. Remember, endemic, they occur nowhere else. Please remember that point. They occur nowhere else. And there has more than 13,000 species in Indo-Burma region, of which 7,000 nowhere else. Similarly, Himalayas. Well, what is the problem? Let me take last few minutes. Well, population growth, poverty, bad perception, anthropocentrism, then cultural transition, etc. Remember, one bad perception. They wanted to build a hydro dam in Idukki, that is called as Silent Valley. Remember, by building a dam, you will lose 600 new species of plants, endemic plants which occur nowhere else. Bad perception, disaster, ecosystem restoration. Kerala Shastra Sahitya Parishad, they revolted against them, against government, and then Indira Gandhi at that time, appointed a committee where Madhav Gadgil was there, etc., other people, and they recommended. And now what has happened is, few years back in Kerala is they didn't follow the guidelines given by the committee. Well, these are some of the acts, Wildlife Protection Act. But remember, many animals, forests are dwindling at an alarming rate. Well, this is a plant which you all know about, Nepenthes khasiana, which occurs in Khasi Hills in Northeast. Remember, this is, you can conserve it through tissue culture. This is one method which I told you. This is, let me not go more than that. Well, the biosphere reserves. In fact, 20 countries, there are 200 biosphere reserves. 40 countries, there are 200 biosphere reserves. And these are the biosphere reserves in India. One such biosphere reserve is Nilgiris, which is spread across not only Karnataka, but also Tamil Nadu, Kerala, partly. Yes, remember, this is wetlands of national importance. Remember, these are some of the Ramsar sites that are also there. Ashtamodi, Chilka, Harika, Kalidiyogana, Loktak, Sambar. They are high biodiversity areas, and there is a lot of necessity for protecting these rich. These are the tiger reserves, but remember, as I told you, Ranthambore has, but remember, other places have no tigers. They have to bring, for example, in Rajasthan, Sariska, you can see the Sariska. Sariska is a tiger reserve, but when Manmohan Singh went there, there are no tigers at all. So point is, now that is being, similarly, cheetah has lost. Now they are wanting to introduce from African cheetah into India. Remember, days concerned with these are some of the days which you are all familiar with. June 5th, I told you, World Forest Day, World Earth Day, World Habitat Day, World Food Day, etc. Well, IUCN is a member of C.R. Babu was chairman, and I was member of Indian Species Plants Specialist Group, and United Nations Environment Program headquarters is Nairobi sites. Please remember, red sanders is being smuggled from Andhra Pradesh, and that comes under what is called as Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Well, the biggest tree in the world is in Andhra Pradesh, in Anantapur district. It has second driest district, but has largest tree in area, 2.2 hectares. Well, these are some of the endemic plants, Croton scabious, Ereliana, Cycas bedomai, Ceropegia spiralis. This may be last. Why I'm saying is spiralis. Yeah, this is a plant called as Ophioglossum reticulatum, which has 1260 chromosomes, highest chromosome number. It is there in India, both Western Ghats and also Eastern Ghats. You can see the beauty. Dr. S.R. Yadav from Kolhapur University has done a lot of work, and we also brought out a book on Ceropegia and Brachystelma. Some of the parasites. Remember, this is Echinacea indica, Gesneriades, Isoetes coromandeliana occurs only in this Coromandel area, and this, of course, it is endemic to this particular. Well, this is one of the endangered plant called listed in Red Batavo, Kildagardia populifolia, but we found several species. This is Pimpinella tirupatiensis, Tirumala Hills. Well, it was described by Balasubramaniam and Henry Subramaniam. So, but this plant is being threatened by the expansion. Abelmastus muscatus, musk oil. Well, this is a plant. It has stinging hairs, but each seed is 2 rupees. It has L-dopa or dopamine medicine for Parkinson's disease. It's a wild plant, both in Western Ghats and also Eastern Ghats and part of the Deccan. This is Ramaval. This is Anana reticulata. This is Buchanania axillaris. This is wild moringa, that is wild drumstick moringa concanensis. This is moringa concanensis. This is red sanders, which you're all familiar. 20 laborers were shot dead a couple of years back because 1 ton. Remember, Patanjali purchased 1 ton of this wood. Remember, for 1 crore 90 lakhs. Please remember, 1 ton of red sanders costed 1 crore 90 lakhs. That is how it costs. And it's available only in India, nowhere else in the world. And that is highly precious. Well, this is a plant which you all familiar with this. Entada purseta, Entada redae. This is a plant which has 1 meter long fruit. And then this is Praeria tuberosa, Xylea gelacarpa, Costa speciosus. You can see the wild ginger. It's a highly medicinal plant. It has ginger plants. These are, you are familiar with diabetic, anti-diabetic, Gymnema sylvestre. You chew these leaves of this plant, but after chewing, you put sugar, you will not get it. This is Amorphophallus sylvaticus, Chlorophytum tuberosum. It is wild relative. This is a wild relative. Its Chlorophytum borbelianum is cultivated. Safed musli. Well, this is a Diascorea. 80 million women use it a day for family planning and birth control pill. It comes from a plant called as Diascorea species, Diasgenin. Only left-handed twining Diascoreas have Diasgenin, not right-handed twining Diascoreas. Remember, it is $1 billion once again in a business or farm. This is Gloriosa superba. It has colchicine and it is an anti-cancer plant. Desmodium laxiflorum, Aristolochia indica, Habenaria rariflora. Yeah, this is Strychnos naxomica, which has strychnine and brucine. This is Maduka indica, which has locally it is used for medicine purpose and also for liquor preparation by the tribal people, but it has medicinal properties also. Well, musas, as I told you, there are lots of musas on Western Ghats, and that they are being threatened because of this degradation. Remember, this is Musa ornata, which is there in the Eastern Ghats. You can see there the fruits are pointing upwards, not the downwards. And it is seeded varieties. Many such are. Similarly, citrus is there. Wild citrus, bamboo are wild in Northeast India. It is being threatened because of this. As I told you, this is right. So this is one such a plant, which is Rauwolfia serpentina, which was plenty when I was a student in a way back in 1970s, but now it is gone. It is there in Eastern Ghats, but now it is being cultivated. Thank you for giving me this opportunity for sharing my experiences.
Thank you, sir, for introducing these species and flora of Andhra Pradesh to us. And these environmental conservation laws were also very useful for us. Now, a few curious minds have some questions which they would like to put up, which are in the question answer box. Do you want me to read them out?
Yeah, pullaiah.thamineni@gmail.com. If you have any queries, pullaiah.thamineni, THAMMINENI @gmail.com. You can find also. Remember, we have written several books, as I told you. Those who want to join us for writing books like Abhishek Chandra, please join us. pullaiah.thamineni@gmail.com. You are most welcome to send your queries, etc. for my mail. Right? Thank you, Abhishek, for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah. No, thank you, sir. Given to the opportunity to write a book chapter with you, and now today you are accepted our invitation and listen to you. So basically, the very big task you are having the wide range of the knowledge in the text of the biodiversity and the conservation. So I think everyone will enjoy your lectures, and it will be good for all the participants, including me also. So there is a few questions, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Please.
invasive species have negative effect on indigenous plants. What are the ways we can overcome this?
Which one? Which one? Repeat question.
Invasive species have negative effect on
Yeah,
indigenous plants.
yeah,
How can
yeah.
we overcome this?
Yeah, yeah. You raised a good question. Recently, last year, we brought out a four-volume book.
Yeah, listen, this is the question is asked by the one of the participant, Dr. Purvi Nath.
Right, sir. Right,
Yeah,
right,
okay.
right. Last year, we brought out a four-volume book on invasive alien species, published by Willy International, where we have invaded. Remember, even some of the plants have been, for example, lantana camera. Similarly, Parthenium hysterophorus. Parthenium hysterophorus, you have to, at the entry point itself, you have to take precaution. For example, Parthenium hysterophorus came with the American wheat. So when some species you are introducing from foreign, you are most welcome to introduce. But remember, take care. It may bring out one weevil in North America has destroyed all the plants of one species which were there in millions of species are popular. Remember, one disease. So remember, Indians, for example, whenever we go to America, to my son or other family members, we take all of our materials, live materials. Please remember, this is a disaster for plant quarantine. So quarantine, when you are bringing, for example, Brazilian lady brought Pistia stratiotus to Iconia crossbase to India because it had a beautiful flower. But remember, they have thrown, so you have to take precautions. Several preventive measures we suggested in that particular book. I do suggest you to go through to that book, which is a four-volume book edited by Michael Aelmini of Invasive Species Program Director of USA and myself. And I suggest you preventive measures. Remember, Parthenium hysterophorus has to be burned. Remember, Parthenium hysterophorus came, but its enemies have not come. The insects, diseases have not come. Only Parthenium hysterophorus has come. With the result, it spread. There is no control in Parthenium hysterophorus in India. It almost several countries it has become an invasive weed. So prevention, and it has to be controlled. For example, Parthenium, you have to eradicate and then burn it. That is the only thing. So, for example, some of the plants from India, like for example, Indian crow has become a problem in Africa. It is killing all the other. Similarly, fish species. They introduced one species is Oreochromus mozambicus in Indian waters. It has eaten away all the other fish species. When you are introducing, please remember, when you are introducing unintentionally, it's okay. You can't help it. But intentionally, if you are introducing, please take care. We are bringing quarantine. So this is all we have to be taken, right? Many such things. Okay.
So next question is by Vineet Lodi. He asks, how does the capacity contribute in reducing the impacts of disaster?
Can you repeat the question?
How does the capacity contribute in reducing the impacts of disaster?
Right. Let me clear. Remember, just now I told you that in the world there is no account of the flora or fauna. Of the insects, 30 million insects, only 3% have been identified. That means if you have capacity or if you have knowledge of that particular flora, fauna, if you have a catalog, then you can take steps. Look here, there is red sanders in Andhra Pradesh. Try to protect it. So when you have a capacity for knowledge on that particular taxon or that particular group, then you can take measures to control or restore the degrade. For example, Yashar Yadav from Western Ghats, they are growing the plants in the tissue culture laboratory and introducing back into the forest. Point is, you have to introduce once again back those which are, for example, cheetah. They are now trying to, cheetah has extinct in India, but Africa and then Iran is there. So they are trying to bring cheetah from Africa or Iran back to India. In India, is extinct. So when you have knowledge of the particular plant ecosystem also, remember, ecosystem is interdependent. So far I discussed only about species diversity, but remember, shifting cultivation, tribals were less, So you should have knowledge and you should have capacity on this particular different taxa, different ecosystem, wild relatives, crop plants, etc. So that will take, you can guide. When you have data, you can show, look here, here is the data. You have to tell the parliament members or the lawmakers, look here, here is the data, please follow this. So you should have the capacity. Remember, CBD has not been signed in USA, and some of the companies are saying that CBD should not be signed, or not only, even other countries also. Private sector is taking over. Please remember, CBD is being taken over by the private sector, and all the private sector is controlling all these ecosystems. What is happening? They are going to build hydroelectric dam in Idiki, Silent Valley. Similarly, in Tegri dams. So point is, you have to take environmental impact assessment. Environmental impact assessment has to be taken. Then only it is possible. Otherwise, one of the government official, one day rang up to me saying that tomorrow you come to Pulichintala, survey the leave, submit the next day. What is the problem? Can you survey the whole animal kingdom ecosystem in one day? And that too in February. Shocking. I said I will not do. But remember, they appointed somebody else, and then that fellow went to that place. He surveyed one day. Next day he went to Hyderabad. He submitted a report. Where is the capacity building? Where is the capacity? Disaster it is. So point is, you should have the suppose if you have a document on the flora, fauna, wild relatives or an impact on a particular region, then you can restore. This is the reason. That is why they stopped Silent Valley project. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Also, so the last question by Irfan Yusuf Shah. Why should we had to protect or conserve dinosaurs?
You can't now protect dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are already extinct. Remember, you can protect whatever that is little that is still available. Dinosaurs are already gone. It is not man-made. It is because of the material, there is a climate. But remember point is, climate is getting hotter and hotter, and it is temperatures are going. Remember, Delhi either highest temperature or highest rainfall. So both is happening on one day. So with these disasters, so point is, you have to take restorative measures. You cannot restore dinosaurs. Please remember. But what is there available? For example, dodo bird is gone. Dinosaurs are by man. So whatever that is possible now, if man is stop destroying this nature, then you can restore this particular thing, right? Okay.
So a last question.
I hope I clear.
What kind of trees can be planted in hill areas to control landslides? Because all species of trees are not possible to plant by us.
Yeah.
Particularly what species?
Yeah. Remember, they introduced eucalyptus cavallensis from Australia, and then the Super Bowl from Hawaii Islands. Remember, these are disasters. Please always remember, wherever why cyclone, Amphen or cyclone, in Orissa cyclone, because mangroves were cut down mercilessly. Mangroves hold the soil like this and stop erosion. So point is, local species, wherever, for example, Himalayas. If you plant other species, obviously like suabul or eucalyptus, they will go. Local species which has which can withstand the slope effect. So that is why you should have once you open the forest, gone. So point is, local species, wherever, yeah, good point. This whoever has raised this point, that local species should be taken into interest while planting or ecosystem restoration. Don't go for exotic species. For example, today, they are discussing about in Telangana about species being grown in the Haritavanam area. So point is, go for local species, whatever there is. Because the local species adapt to local environment and local landslides, they stop also. If you go to exotic ones, it is gone. There's a point. Please see that there. Which species is, you have to find out. For example, Western Ghats species are different from Himalayas. For example, Brahmaputra, there is a flood. So you have to, Prosopis juliflora was introduced by Britishers in 1896 from Mexico. But now there is a disaster. Point is, local species have to be restored so that you should control the ecosystem restoration, or you could restore the ecological balance, right? Okay.
Thank you, sir. It was very insightful.
Thank you all. If you have any queries, pullaya.thammineni@gmail.com. pullaya.thammineni@gmail.com. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for your talk and accepted our invitations. Thank you so much, sir.
Right.
Now we are to proceed for the second talk of the today. And this talk will be delivered to our program coordinator with me, Dr. Sweta Vaidya. So over to you. Introduced to by the Nimi. Yeah.
Now, I would like to extend our invitation to our next invited speaker, Dr. Shweta Bedyadas ma'am. Dr. Shweta Bedyadas ma'am has done her PhD in oceanography from CSIR National Institute of Oceanography. She has worked extensively on the paleoclimate, especially the paleo-monsoon shift from last glacial maximum to the Holocene. Later, she worked on desertification and land degradation in Jawaharlal Nehru University. She also has experience of working on glaciology in the Ministry of Earth Sciences. She was the faculty of disaster management in Jamia Millia Islamia University. At present, ma'am is working as the consultant in National Institute of Disaster Management. Ma'am would be helping us in gaining knowledge on climate resilient livelihood and ecosystem-based DRR. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sachi, for this wonderful introduction and warm welcome. And thank you, Chandra sir, for giving me this opportunity to talk on this platform. So I will share my screen first.
Yeah, sure. Ma'am.
Yeah. Is it visible?
Yes.
Yeah,
ma'am.
And it is moving. Are you able to see the second slide?
No. It will be stuck into the first slide and it is not in the slide show mode.
Okay. Then I think I'll keep this in this way only, because when I'm making it full screen, it is not moving. Okay. Here you will be able to see everything. Now you can see the second and third slide. Right?
Yes, sure.
Okay. So today I would like to talk a bit about how we can make our livelihood resilient and the concept of eco-DRR. And if time permits, then what are the wonderful steps those have been taken by different countries towards disaster management, and they have taken the approach of ecosystem based disaster risk reduction. So let us see. So here I would like to mention eco-DRR was the term first coined by Professor Anil K. Gupta. So it is basically the short form of ecosystem based disaster risk reduction. So let us see. I will come back to this picture at the end. Before that, let us have the concepts. So by now, I'm sure, thanks to all the webinars and all the training programs, now everyone knows what is a disaster. But even if someone is there who doesn't know, then for them, basically nowadays, the basic concept is that, so before that, I would like to mention that earlier, what people used to do when some disaster has taken place, then people will go and they will try to recover people. They will give some relief to them, and then they will try to save their life, and they will give them food, medicine, etc. And then they will try to take them to a safer place. So that is normally known as relief recovery approach. But now that approach has changed. Now people think that why to go after the disaster has happened. So we have to be prepared in advance. And whenever we are prepared in advance, then what happens? We will be taking some adaptive measures and we'll be mitigating the things. Then we'll be taking the preventions. So for prevention, we'll be assessing the possible risks in upcoming future, and accordingly we'll be adopting some strategies through which we will be preparing ourselves so that the loss of people or the loss of resources is at the least. So here I would like to tell you that people are really able to do this very successfully, especially if you take the cases of Odisha. They are seriously working towards this, and they have um, made such preventive measures, and they have adopted such preventive measures that they are able to reduce their fatality due to the cyclones to zero. And that is a really big deal, because when there is cyclone, taking all the people to a safer place, or arranging something safe measures for them is a big deal. Because don't forget that not everyone is as young as you, not everyone is not able as you. So there will be people with a lot of difficulties, disabilities. There will be aged people, there will be pregnant women, there will be children. So making arrangement for all of them is not really an easy task. And when you are really able to achieve that, it is commendable. So let us see what we can do. So in this, I would like to mention that the thing that I was telling you, that ecosystem based approaches for DRR. So what is this ecosystem based? The basic idea is that when we are taking up some adaptive measures, we should take help of our surrounding ecosystem or our surrounding nature, because it is easily available, and we will take help of them, and we will save the other things. So in this concept, this eco-DRR is basically a part of an umbrella term which is known as nature-based solution. So nature-based solution means whatever problem you are having, you will be taking help from nature to solve those problems. Because earlier we were dependent entirely on nature. Now also for so many things we are dependent on nature, but then also at least few things we are able to do on our own. But then again, we are saying that depending on nature could be much helpful for us. So we can solve our problems if we are taking help from nature. So in reducing the climate risks and to increase the resilience, now we are thinking of nature-based solution. So here two terms normally comes up. One is ecosystem-based disaster risk reduction. So why ecosystem-based? Because it is efficient, it is cost effective. When you are taking help of nature, it is cost effective because you do not need to do anything much artificially. Then it is flexible, you can always change. This is a very low regret approach. That means even if you fail from whatever you are targeting, then also it will be a low regret approach, because you will not be spending too much when you will be implementing this ecosystem based approaches. So that is why it is known as cost effective, and it also helps you socially, economically, environmentally. So all these benefits, when it is together, it is always much more beneficial for you rather than taking some other artificial approaches. So here one more term comes up, that is ecosystem based adaptation. So what I was saying, that now we are thinking about adaptation in advance, so that we are armed to face the disaster. That could be any kind of disaster. That could be flood, that could be cyclone, that could be untimely heavy rainfall, which can cause you some flood situation. That could be anywhere, that could be in urban area, that could be in rural area, that could damage your crops, standing crops in the field. So this is beneficial for everything. So basically adaptation is for hazard reduction, for exposure reduction, and for vulnerability reduction. So then we are saying that for mitigating flood and enhancing soil moisture conservation. So all those are the things that you can actually do. I will come to that, what are the things that we can do. So many of you might have heard about the Sendai framework. So Sendai framework is a framework which is meant for disaster risk reduction. So that also tells you about this nature-based solution. So from there, this idea of nature-based solution has become famous. So here, three types of approaches are taken. First is ecosystem based mitigation. So here the use of ecosystem for their carbon storage and sequestration. So for them who don't know what is carbon storage, the maximum carbon is stored in mostly in two things. First thing is, I will say three things. First thing is the trees that you see on the landmass. Second thing is the coal-like deposition, what you do not see, but they are there in the mine from where we are getting most of India's energy. And then the third thing is there is a big deposit which many of us, don't know, that is there in the ocean. So it is in the form of carbonates. So lots and lots of carbon is stored in as a carbonate form in ocean. So more and more we are, doing the climate change, or more and more we are enhancing the climate change, or more and more we are, increasing the CO2 in the atmosphere, that eventually will release the carbon storage from the ocean. So there is a big process underlying below that. I will not go into that because that itself is a, presentation. So this, we have to understand that how we can increase this storage. So we have to sequestrate the carbon from the atmosphere, and we have to store them either in as a form of tree. Now, readily you cannot make coal. So only thing is you can plant tree. And, increasing carbonates is a big deal. That is, questionable how much you can do. Many people say that, with the help of iron fertilization, you can do that. But then up to a certain limit, iron fertilization can increase your primary productivity, but up to a certain limit. After that, that also doesn't help. So what we can understand is we cannot do much in the ocean except from destroying the carbon storage. We cannot do almost anything for the increase of carbon storage as coal or gas or oil. Only thing we can do is we can increase the carbon storage in the standing trees, living trees. So that is the only thing we can do. Second concept comes as green-blue infrastructure or natural infrastructure. So what is that? Earlier there was the concept of gray infrastructure. Gray means only brick and all those sand and cement, all those things. So that is normally known as gray infrastructure. So in the blue-green infrastructure, it could be of two types. Either the material you are using for building anything, that could be nature friendly, like in many of the places in the hill areas, they are saying that with mud and straw and other locally available things using for building, that you can do. Or else, even if you are using only gray material for your building, then also you can grow some plantation on the building and you can make it blue-green infrastructure. So that is also another approach. And then comes the ecological engineering. So ecological engineering is basically how you can grow your ecosystem. So how you can apply your engineering knowledge for growing your ecosystem. So that is the ecological engineering. Sorry. So yes, now let me give you some idea of how things are happening in the ocean, what I was describing you. So see here, what happens is the carbon dioxide that is present in the atmosphere, that actually goes and mixes with the ocean water. Now when it is mixing with the ocean water, what happens is, it will form one mild acid known as H2CO3, that is carbonic acid. And then also it, releases some free hydrogen ions. So what happens is, this carbonic acid will react with the available carbonate shells. Those are there. So these carbonate shells are basically the storage of carbon. Okay, so these shells are formed with the carbon. So they are a big storage of carbon. Now, when carbonic acid is being prepared by the mixing of CO2 with the water, then this carbonic acid will start dissolving whatever carbonate shells are there in the ocean. Now, these free hydrogen ions will again create a bond with the carbonates available. So that will become the bicarbonates. Then ultimately, whatever carbon was there in your ocean water stored, that will get released into the atmosphere. So what will happen? More you increase the CO2 level in the atmosphere, ultimately that will help you again to increase or to release CO2 from the ocean water to the atmosphere. That means it is a chain reaction. Here, if you increase in the atmosphere, if you increase CO2, that will lead you to increased CO2 release from the ocean water. So you can imagine how that is going to harm you. Next, I will come to forest. Now, imagine what can be, can happen in a forest. Suppose you have deforested an area in some upland in the mountain. Then what can happen? So first thing is, it will lead to dryness of that area, less rainfall might come, and then that entire soil that will be exposed to the rainfall. Now landslide can be there. If little bit of earthquake is there, the landslide will be increased. Then if rainwater is coming, that entire area will act as mud flow or debris flow. That thing will happen. Now this mud flow and debris flow, ultimately where they will go? They will block your roads, or they will break your roads, which will harm your transportation. And then finally that debris material will come to your agricultural land, and also that will come to your to the nearby river, because ultimately that will reach the valley. So your agriculture is spoiled, your road is spoiled, and then when it reaches the river, your water, the fresh potable water that you were getting from the river, that is also spoiled. Then if that water is spoiled, what will happen? If that mud is mixed with that water, then the oxygen holding what should I say, dissolved oxygen, that will be reduced because it is full of mud. So the animals or the fishes or the other living beings which were there in that water, they will not live or survive in that water anymore. So one simple deforestation can trigger so many things. So this is what is known as cascading disaster, because one can trigger other so many disasters. So these are the things. Now in inland water also, if any water body is there in any of the I will say in urban area, that acts like a sponge, because normally wherever water body will be there in any of the urban land, that will be in a comparatively lower land. So what will happen? Wherever rainfall will be there in that urban area, that entire water will be gathered in that lowland. So the waterlogging problem will be solved. Now, if there is no if there is no water body, then where this extra water will go? Because we do not have improved drainage system. We do not have stormwater drainage system for any of our big cities also. So if there is no water body, then there is nothing to soak that extra water, and what you are going to face is your urban flooding. So any water body or any inland water actually helps you or saves you from your urban flooding. So these are the most important scenarios that we face in different cases or in different ecosystems. And I seriously do not need to tell you that more and more temperature will increase, that how much ice cap will be melted, and that will increase your water level, and ultimately your coral bleaching, and your coral will also be damaged. So the most attractive tourist destinations, your coral atolls are what? Whenever some seamounts are there, some corals will grow at the fringe where the seamount and the ocean is touched. So in that area, some coral will grow. Now, slowly, these seamounts are basically the volcanic eruptions. So more and more it, dies, it will be heavier and it sinks. So when it sinks, what happens is that coral reef will be there, and inside will be full of water, and outside also it is water. That is known as the atolls. So those are the most costly tourist destinations nowadays. But imagine if there is no coral, then there is no atoll, then where people will go? So these are the things, So actually, if you save nature, that actually helps you in by every means, be it your livelihood, be it your mental health, anything. So these are same things that I explained you already. Now, this is the EB and EcoDRR. EBA is ecosystem-based adaptation, and EcoDRR is ecosystem-based disaster risk reduction. So basically, this encompasses the idea of sustainable development. So what is sustainable development? You have to do some climate change adaptation, you have to do disaster risk management, you have to do ecosystem management, and then socioeconomic development planning. So when you have all these four, you are talking about the sustainable development. And how you can do this, or what is the benefit of this? So sustainable development is definitely beneficial for the entire society by all means. And in climate change adaptation, what you are doing, you are enhancing your resilience, you are reducing the social and environmental vulnerabilities. In ecosystem management, what you are doing, you are actively using your biodiversity and ecosystem services. But remember, whenever you are using your ecosystem or the biodiversity that you have, you must remember that whatever you use, you should save much more than that, so that your grandchildren should also have something to enjoy at their time. So it is your responsibility, like you save your money for your future generation. Similarly, you have to save your ecosystem for your future generation. It is a must. There is no other choice, because we have already demolished a lot, and it is not easy to get back to the earlier situation. So we have to seriously remember this. So we have to do this. And if we are doing some responsible governance, and if we are enhancing the capabilities in us, then we can do something important. And also some important policies are there, and we can always think for some adaptive policies for future. So these are same kind of thing, how we define hazard, exposure, and vulnerability. So I'll not go more in detail into this. I will take you to some other slide. So here you see, here basically what is the adaptation mainstreaming cycle. So what is mainstreaming? Means this idea of adaptation, you will mainstream this idea. That means you will bring this idea into the channels where it can actually reach people, where people will be able to know about this, where people will be aware about this, where people will be able to implement this. So that is the mainstreaming. So what you can do is, you can apply a climate and ecosystem lens. That means you have to identify first that what are the losses that already has occurred in terms of climate degradation or in terms of ecosystem degradation. Please let me know if I'm exceeding time, because I have no idea. So second thing is assess the vulnerability and the risk. So once you have known that what are the things you have done, you will estimate that how much loss has already occurred or how much vulnerable you are towards any of the upcoming disasters. Once you identify or assess those vulnerabilities, then you can identify some adaptation options. Then you can identify, okay, for me, so here one thing, not everything is a risk for everyone. The person who is who is there in the coast, earthquake may not be a problem for him, but cyclone can be a problem for him. Therefore, the disaster risk is not same for everyone. So we have to identify our own disaster risk or our own vulnerability. Then we have to identify that what are the adaptations those are possible or we can take. Then we have to prioritize. Suppose I have some 5 adaptation options. So I have to prioritize that which one I will implement first. Then you have to implement, and once you have implemented, you have to evaluate that, okay, I have implemented this, how much successful it is. If it is not successful, then I have to understand why it is not successful, what could be done. If this is not at all working, then what other options could work here. Okay, so these are the things. So basically here we are saying that the EcoDRR and EBA concept that can help you save, or this will help you save your life, your property, and then hazard mitigation, and then finally the climate change adaptation. So basically this helps you save everything. Like this will, give you sustainable livelihood. This will help you save your heritage places. This will enrich your water and soil, because you have to protect that until and unless you protect your soil and water. First of all, you will not get potable water for your drinking purposes and other purposes. And also, if fertile soil is not there, then no agriculture, and you will not get anything to eat and for your livelihoods. Then the regional climate will be stabilized. This is a very big problem, because when we once we did 2 years back, we had a consultation in Kolkata. So there all the people from northeast and eastern region, they came, and mostly the people from hill region, northeastern hill region, they are saying the basic problem is that the regional climate has changed a lot. Earlier in these hilly regions, no mosquitoes was there, but now there are too much mosquito problem, because the microclimate has changed, because the temperature, the lowest temperature is increasing at a very higher pace, which is alarming. So these are the things, and these are very serious things to be taken care of. Then comes the biodiversity conservation, because that is the only option that we are left with. And finally, the carbon storage and sequestration, about which I have already explained. So, what are the ecosystem services, or what basically ecosystem services means the services what you get from nature. So that comes under your nature-based solution. So what are the things you get from nature? Practically everything. So your food, your biochemicals, your other necessary things like timber, biofuel, fiber, whatnot, for your tourism recreation purpose, your cultural spiritual things, your storage, carbon storage, sequestration, your coastal protection, and your water quality enhancement. Okay, so everything you get from your ecosystem, your starting from your food to your water. So you have to utilize this, but you have to always remember that you should not simply waste the things. Use as much as you need, but always remember to save some for your future generation. So basically, this idea has coherence with all the most important global initiatives those have been taken, like by UNFCCC, climate change adaptation, and then environmental and biodiversity conservation outcomes and decisions targets, sustainable development goals, all those 17 SDGs that we have, and then Sendai framework for DRR, which is like our what should I say, our Bible. So before I go to next any of the slide, how much time do I have? Anyone there?
Yeah. we are the here. You can go ahead with the 10 minutes more.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much. So here I will tell you a few ideas which can give you disaster and climate resilient livelihood. So first thing is, you know what we call as PDNA, that is post disaster recovery needs assessment. That is basically whenever one disaster is over, you have to go there and you have to assess that what are the things that is necessary for both, for that moment, and also what was the things necessary before the next disaster comes. So what basically what are the things that you need so that you can help yourself or save yourself from the next disaster. So this is basically a need assessment for both the things. So community based need assessment. So whatever community is there in that area, you have to identify their particular needs, because disaster situation is not same for everywhere. Then you know, you have to identify the agricultural livelihood scoping strategies, and for that you can do, like you can introduce many indigenous varieties, and then you can how you have to do your asset protection. That is also a big thing. You have to understand the process, you have to you know, learn from other people what they are doing, and also you may come up with some important ideas that may help you. And then climate friendly natural resources and futuristic adaptation. So I will tell you few options. Okay, so in an area where you suppose you are facing some flooding problem, so you are thinking that how to grow your crops, or say some vegetables where you are facing very frequent flooding problems. So there you can have floating gardens. So in the floating gardens, as you might have seen in Kashmir, where whomsoever have gone there, they are you know, already adopting this idea of floating garden in the Dal Lake. So this could be done in a very smaller scale also in many of the other areas which is facing frequent flooding problem. And then comes your cage aquaculture, where you are thinking that once there is a flood problem, then whatever fish or prawn or that kind of aquaculture you did has all gone because of flood water. There also you can do your culture in a cage so that it is not gone. So I will first show you that picture and then I'll come back to the third point. So this is a kind of floating garden where you can do your agriculture, and you see there even if there is a, you know, flood or anything, you will not face any problem. And also you are using the water body, and also since it is within the water, you do not need to water them much, they are already getting water. So you can resolve your water problem a lot through this. Then comes your cage aquaculture. So if you are you know, using this kind of structure, then your cultured fish or prawn or anything that you are culturing will not go into the other water, and you will not face any loss during the flood situation. Now the third thing comes is seed variety. So here, you know, in most of the cases what we see is, especially in the coastal areas, when a lot of cyclone situation is there or flood situation is there, a lot of salt water intrusion problem is there in the coastal areas. So whenever this salt water is intruding into your agricultural land, then what is happening? You are not able to grow your crops. So their possibility is that first thing, what already my previous speaker, he has mentioned, that you can increase your you know, coastal protection through increasing the mangroves. That is one. So that can reduce the speed of cyclone, that can also reduce the intrusion of salt water. But if not, if then also it is not possible to stop the water, what you can do is you can go for some of the variety which is salt, which can withstand salt. Like I will give you one example. There is a certain rice variety in Kerala. So they call it as pokali. So pokali is a you know, kind of rice variety that can withstand the high salinity water. So what happens is, even if there is water, it can help you in two ways. First, you will your standing rice crop will not be harmed by that water. Second thing is, in that water you can do some small aquaculture thing, like some small fishes or crabs or prawns you can culture there, so that can grow without any difficulty. So you will benefit from both your crop and your aquaculture. So these are the options that you go for. Then comes flood resilient buildings. So how you can actually adopt the flood resilient building. So in this building you can see that all the ground floors there is nothing, the elevated structure, and everywhere there is window and balcony. So why is this concept? Because window will allow you lots of light and fresh air, and this balcony is a must everywhere, because suppose the water level is up to this pillar level, then also if the rescue boat comes, you should be able to get that boat through your balcony. So that is the concept for this. So even if this is completely inundated by flood, which now many of our districts are facing, so this is a good thing for adaptation. So many water resilient paints come nowadays, so that can help you from the problem of water coming inside your rooms. So that is other things which can be done, and definitely the structure that has to be flood resilient. So these are the things. I will show you few examples what people have taken up in many of the countries. So in Denmark, what they have done is, so whatever I'm going to tell you is some ecosystem based DRR practices that many countries have adopted globally. So this is the example from Denmark. What they have done is, earlier this salt water from the ocean used to intrude into their agricultural land. Now what they have done is, this area they have elevated, and by elevating this area they have helped themselves from the intrusion of the salt water. And as you can see, small canals are there, so that even if intrusion is happening, it should be within this channel. And then the right hand side area, they have completely made it a pasture land, and they have grown grasses. This will help you to reduce your soil loss. So when you are saving your land from the soil loss, then you will not lose more land. So you are saving your land. So this is one example. Here in the second example from Indonesia, you will see how they are saving their area which is mostly water inundated. So first they will prepare some kind of strong structure with iron, you can see here, and along the structure then they will increase the vegetation. So first this structure will save your soil, and then when you plant a lot of trees and different types of trees with different height and different extent, that will help you save your soil, that will help you from saving yourself from the cyclone kind of thing, and also from the water inundation from seaside. Then in Mahanadi areas are many of the NGOs, they are working, and they are trying to remove all small dams and dikes, because whenever there is a dam, whenever there is a dike, that itself will increase the sedimentation in the riverbed. And whenever sedimentation will be increased in the riverbed, ultimately you will face the flooding problem, because if the riverbed doesn't have enough water to hold the water that you are getting during the monsoon season, then ultimately that water will come to your agricultural land, which is there in both the side of your river. So they are trying to strengthen the embankment, and they are also doing some relief recovery measures. They are trying to restore the wetlands, because I told you the wetlands are acting as sponge. Therefore, more wetlands you have, more you will build resilience towards the flood. Also, whenever there is a wetland, not only it will save you from the flood, but also there itself one's ecosystem will originate. Many trees will grow, then many birds will come, then many small animals will be there. So that itself will give you lots and lots of benefits. So it is always there. So when we are talking about spawn city, you must know that China is claiming that by 2030, at least 70 or 80% of their area, they will change it to a spawn. So what does that mean? That means they will increase the water infiltration capability of that area. So how you can increase your water infiltration capacity? Because more and more you are cementing your open space. That means you are restricting the water that can go inside the soil layer. So if it is not going inside the soil layer, what will happen? It will ultimately go as sheet flow. So when it is going at sheet flow, that means in that area there is no tree, no grass, and that water will take away all your soils, especially the top soil, which is full of nutrient. So if it is taking your topsoil, that means you will lose your nutrient and you cannot grow any more ecosystem there. So that is the difficulty. So more if you plant tree, more it will help to infiltrate water into your soil layer, and more your water table will be rising. So that is very important. And then our friend from Nepal, what they have done, they are keeping their roads as it is. What they have done is they are creating a small drainage system beside the road, so that the extra water which is coming from the upslope can go away from this drain. And the slope, they are not cutting any trees, because if lots of trees are there, then the possibility of slope failure or landslide will reduce. So that is also again a very good example. Then how you can enhance your livelihood. You can opt for other things. Like earlier, people of Vietnam, what they used to do, they used to harvest 2 rice crops per year, but then they started doing lotus farming and other aquaculture thing, and by doing this they are able to get twice more profitability from this. And in Philippines also, people, they have taken greening mission, and they are doing lots of plantation everywhere, wherever they are getting, like beside the roads and on the slopes, everywhere they are doing this. So similar is the case for Myanmar. They have also taken up many this kind of initiatives, and they have prepared a framework for community disaster resilience, and they also have an action plan on DRR. So all these are the things that people have already adopted. And for today, this is all that I wanted to share with you. So you are most welcome if you have any question.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. First of all, I would like to just summarize all the things that you have said. We have got wonderful insights on cascading disasters. And then we cannot forget the fact that we got a global perspective of how disaster management is being held in different countries. However, you talked about flood resilient housing. But ma'am, I'm very unsure about whether flood resilient housing would work in India. So what is the success rate of flood resilient housing in India?
See, at government level, it's really difficult for me to answer this question, because none of the government people will tell you the actual thing. But only thing I would like to tell you that, say, suppose you are not doing any of these things. Okay. So what will happen is, if you are not having any elevated platform, or if you are not doing anything, then at least your building will be more affected than this. So if you are adopting this, but remember, only the structural change cannot help you in all the way. So that is why I am telling you that you have to take some integrated approach. That means you have to increase your wetland, you have to grow your ecosystem. At the same time, you are not supposed to make desertification. At the same time, you are not supposed to do deforestation. And you have to plant a lot of trees at the same time, and along with that you are doing this resilient structure for the flood. Then only you are supposed to calculate the success rate. Because if you are not adopting the holistic thing, then you only one thing you cannot measure, because your success rate does not depend on only one thing. So this multiple thing you have to apply together, and then only you will be able to see the benefit of this kind of thing.
Sure, ma'am. Sure. We have some questions in the question and answer box as well. So the first question, which is asked by Irfan, is how much we have succeeded in combating climate change, and what is the contribution of IPCC?
So for that, I think your best answer lies in the IPCC latest report. You can go through that. They will tell you that how much you are successful in combating climate change. But remember, only you are not supposed to ask this question that how much we are succeeding in combating climate change, because this climate change comes from you, because you are also responsible for this climate change. Therefore, it is your duty. Can you tell me how many trees you have planted in your lifetime? Suppose you are 25 years old or you are 20 years old, how many trees you have planted? So you have to do your bit. So that is what I tell to everyone in every program, that it is your responsibility. This is your country. You are taking the oxygen. Who will be responsible for planting the tree? You are taking the oxygen. You have to pay back to the society. You are the one who will pay back. So you have to plant the tree, and then only you can ask, okay, I have planted so many trees. I have forced my neighborhood people to plant so many trees. I have encouraged so many people to plant so many trees. And then you should measure. Then you will understand. Because in many of the stories you might be seeing in the internet, that earlier, even I see many in the LinkedIn also, that earlier some entirely barren land was there, and within 5 years, just because some people have taken that pain to plant some tree, within 5 years that entire area has become like a forest. It is a grown up ecosystem. There so much of animals are coming, birds are coming, so the entire terrain has changed, that microclimate has changed. So you are the one who will do that, because that is why we are doing this. Remember, this is not a training program. This is a capacity building program. What is capacity building? That you will understand the importance of this, and then you will do it on your own. That is what capacity building is. So you have to do that on your own. And also you have to encourage other people to do that.
Right, ma'am. We definitely have to take some steps at individual level. The second question we have is from Amita, and that is, in terms of floating gardens or cage aquaculture, how it can be helpful in case of heavy floods, heavy force, or water till will take it away from that area.
Yeah, I got it. So basically, Amita, you have to understand, suppose if you have kept a boat in the river water, or if you have kept a ship in the river water, there also water can take that away, right? But how you stop it? So you are basically tying that thing from the post. So you have to make it in such a way that the corners or somehow you are tying the thing towards the coast, so that it is not floating away with the water, even if there is heavy rain. So whenever you are, that is what adaptation is. Whenever you are doing anything, you have to understand that you have to think of the risks and the vulnerabilities that can happen. And you have to take the measure for that in advance, so that you are adopted from that vulnerability. You will not face any loss because of that.
And ma'am, our next question is from Dr. Purobhinath. Mostly it is found that heavy rain in the hilly areas result in the flood in valleys. Also, rise of river bed could be the another reason. What would be the permanent solution of flood in the valleys?
Okay, permanent solution there, again, you have to take multiple approaches. So first thing, as I mentioned, for the mountains, you are not supposed to cut a single tree in the mountainous region, especially because even if you cut a tree and you think, okay, I will plant a tree tomorrow in place of that, but then also you understand the tree that you are cutting might be 100 years old. So the tree that you are planting, it will at least take 100 years to gain that capacity of holding that amount of land or that amount of soil that it was holding earlier. So the slope, you will see, if you have visited any of the mountainous region, all the landslides, if you notice, wherever it is happening, all those slopes are barren slopes. Trees are not there. So wherever trees are there, in very few spaces, you will see that you can actually see a landslide, because you are preparing roads, you are cutting lots and lots of trees, and you are not planting enough trees in place of that. But even if you are planting, that is not getting enough time to grow. Before that itself, your landslide is happening. Now coming to the valley areas. Now you tell me, how many of us are actually following the rule that the building structure rule that says us that you have to keep a safe distance from either river valley or river bed, or if it is in the coastal area, then you cannot do it in the coastal zone. There is a sufficient land that you should leave from the coast, and then only you are supposed to build your things. But what is happening in Malda region, what is happening in Murshidabad region, the entire agricultural community, they are staying right beside the river. Why? Because every year flood will come, every year fresh silt will come, and they will be benefited from that. They will not be needing to use any fertilizer, and this fresh silt will give them a bumper crop. So because of that, they are staying very close to the river, and they are saying that every year our thing is taken by the river, and government is supposed to give us some money or help. You will be surprised to know that in Yamuna floodplain, every year, right before the monsoon season, many people will come and they will build their temporary shelters there, so that whenever Yamuna river, water will go up, level will go up, their, stay will be flooded with that water, and they can claim the, money from government. So many people are there who motivatedly do this, and they have taken like this money from government many times. So similar is the case in the mountain areas also. You are not supposed to build your house right beside the river just because of scenic beauty, or just because you have that land. So there you seriously, you have to maintain that distance from the river, or you have to maintain the rule of the nature, that you have to enjoy nature, but you also need to understand that you cannot live really close to the river or to the seabed or to the any of the coastal areas. So in mountain, if you are not cutting trees, if you are increasing the trees, then definitely the sedimentation rate will be lesser. If the sedimentation rate is lesser, then the river bed will have the capacity to withhold the water, therefore lesser amount of flood will be there. And also we have to remember that lesser we build any dam, lesser we build any of the embankment, that will help us reduce the number of floods. So these are the things which can give you some permanent solution, and I think it is a really long-term process that you should think of.
Sure, ma'am. And our last question for today is, marine pollution by ships is a big issue. How it should be handled?
There are lots of laws for this. Very strict laws are there, that if you are polluting, so marine pollution means it could be many things. If you are talking about the leakage of oil from the ships, that is also a big deal, because many ships, when especially they are sunk, or especially they are facing any accident, that time the oil is leaking. So many laws are there, but implementation depends on people to people, country to country, how much you are implementing, because I normally give a lecture on this also. So once this oil is floating in the water, it's very difficult to gather that that oil, because with the current, because in marine water you will get very different currents at each and every layer. So due to that different current, it will spread to a very vast amount of place, and it becomes really difficult to gather, and that can cost the life of so many animals and fishes in the marine water. So only thing is that very strict action for whomsoever is doing this, especially knowingly, and you have to build your ship in a way so even if it is sinking, or even if it faces an accident, the oil should not come out. So there you can do this. But the basic problem of marine pollution now is the microplastics. So the microplastics are most important thing that we should take care of. So wherever we are going, be it a small lake or be it an ocean, what we are doing is we will definitely go with some chips packet, some beer cans, some cold drink bottle which is made up of plastic. So everything we will dump on the shore or the coast where we were enjoying that, and ultimately that will break into small particles that will go into, and also fisherman net, that is another big thing that is creating problem. So this entire shit will go into the water, and that microplastics will be eaten by all the animals, all the fish, everything, whatever is there in the water. Now these microplastic problems can be solved only and only if you are aware. So if you are a responsible citizen and you think that it is my responsibility, if I am taking a beer can or a chips packet to the coast, it is my responsibility to put that in a bin or to take that back with me. So if you can do this, then only it is possible. Otherwise there is no magic that can save you from microplastics. It is only your responsibility. No one can help you from this, because once it is microplastic and once it has gone into the water, then there is no way to bring it back. So better is you do not carry anything of plastic or tin or any metal kind of thing, and do not leave that there on the shore. So it is an humble request to everyone, please do not do that, because once you are not responsible, imagine about the people who are not even literate, imagine about the people who are not bothered about this. Okay, so someone has to start it, right? Otherwise it is not possible.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much for answering all the questions and for this very informative session. Now I would like to invite a moderator.
Yeah, Dr. Kavita Singh. Yeah.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are here.
A warm good evening to all of you. And first of all, I'll congratulate Dr. Abhishek. Sir, it's a great initiative. I think my voice is echoing, right? It is a great initiative to start a workshop on this thing. So being a moderator, I'll just start with Sir's lecture, that is Pulaya Sir's. Sir, it was really an honor to listen to you. You really made our day. I think more than 300 students were listening to you. And it is a great experience to have you with us. A wide range of topics has been covered by you. And it is very important to know native species of our country. As you started your lecture with 1972 and going all through the events, important events related to biodiversity. That is important, sir. You covered 70%, how 70% of the aquatic ecosystem has been ruined because of acid rain. And that too in Sweden, a country which is like one of the developed nations. So how can we think about our own nation? That was a great initiative and great example, sir. It showed your exposure to more than thousands of species which have been monitored and named after you. That was one of the brilliant things. And sir, a wide exposure to biodiversity available on this planet Earth. So thank you so much depth of knowledge you have given to us as an audience, as a teachers. I was lovely. I was having a screenshots of actually that. So that was an updated data along with the Indian status. That is important. I think most of us who are sitting here do not have the detailed flora and fauna information. And this is my suggestion to all the listeners, that if we have those books of Sir in libraries or somewhere, wherever we want to consult them, that will be an advantage to the educational institutes. And the esteemed faculty members like Dr. Abhishek have already contributed chapters in that. So they will be a ladder in our education along with the application part. So, sir, moreover, then you moved on to angiosperms. Yes, angiosperms have a specific place in our biota. So across country, since sir has been expressing that thing, that we are on the 11th position, but other countries who are above us may be having less amount of angiosperm as compared to us. So we need that expertise who can just monitor and work on this thing. And as environmentalists and as a group sitting over here, they will definitely agree with me that we have that aura to, you know, have medication for even corona, AIDS, cancer. There may be some herbs, some shrubs, some trees in the nature which needs screening, and we will be able to mitigate that thing. So this is one thing. Then cultivated plants, sir has discussed, as we are the source of 176 plants. So it is an honor for our country. Thank you, sir, for listing all of them. And then about active germplasm, wild relatives, domestic animals, sir, it is great. Antiviral also. And then how biodiversity is important in disaster management. This is very important. Whether we talk about different species at different levels, or we are considering any species, ecological importance of any species, they are very important in mitigating disasters which we are facing today. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. It was a great, enlightful. So my few lines won't be enough for your praise. So thank you so much for such an enlightful and knowledgeable. Your experience really speaks off from your slides. Thank you. Second, I will move on to Dr. Shweta. It was great listening to you, Shweta, since I think we are colleagues. So it was really nice that you are working on nature-based solutions. Actually, being from environmental family, we all believe that whatever issues has been raised around us can be sorted out by nature, right? If I talk about this thing, like Madam was talking about oxygen value, right? In Corona also, we have seen how vital oxygen is for living on, and there was a illegal buying and selling of oxygen. So all those, even medication was there. So I think this pandemic has really shown us the importance of disaster management. The pandemic, how to manage that thing. So eco-DRR, Anil sir, thank you so much for coining this term eco-DRR, that is ecosystem-based disaster risk reduction. Definitely, we have solutions in our nature. We need all those things. And this entire framework, as Shweta ma'am has mentioned, this is the Bible of them, and they are following this book or framework word by word. It is mainly having 3 pillars, as mentioned by ma'am, and she has discussed in detail: ecosystem-based mitigation, green blue infrastructures, and ecological engineering. So if we are targeting as participants, as the people who are working on ground level, if we adopt these mitigation measures, then we can definitely reduce the frequency of disasters. I won't say we don't have disasters. Definitely, I can't comment on that. But definitely, the amount of disasters can be minimized by precautions based on this thing. And Shweta ma'am, your wide experience related to microplastic and aquatic ecosystem or oil, that was mind-blowing, and I think that is quite enriching. Being students of environmental studies and across the streams, I won't specify only environment studies, but across the streams we need to be aware and we need to adopt these measures in our day-to-day life. So thank you so much. With this, I will wind up my moderation because it's too time. No one wants to listen to Kavita ma'am. So thank you, Abhishek sir. Thank you so much. Over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the nice moderation. So I think that you are the good moderation. So I request to the every day to the moderate the session.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. And when you are the given to the lecture, that day someone else will be the moderate. So it will be the good. And apart from this, we are reaching to the end of this current day. We are the completed the first day and the second day and third day is still waiting. And regarding to the so many person is the asking regarding the feedback forms in the chat box. So as the Dr. Sweta is the mentioned, the feedback form will be the mentioned into the NIDM website. And end of the day, in the last day, we will also circulate the one feedback in the form of the Google form, which will be the, you will be the give also how much you are the getting the benefits of the our speakers and something. So it will be the mention that will be circulated only in the validatory sessions. Your attendance is the already monitored by the Zoom. So whenever it will be reaches to the 80%, you will be the automatically download your certificate from the NIDM website. So only the your duty, you will be the here and listen the things. And if any question you can write into the question and answer segment. So it will be the easy to identify us as a volunteer. So and ask to the speaker and the expert. Because when you are the writing in between the chat box, because there will be so many messages. So might be your question will be the mix with the message. So it is the end, and tomorrow we will again assemble at 2 p.m. and there is the 4 lectures, and all are the lectures are the very good. One is the Professor Joseph Selvin, the head department of the microbiology, Pondicherry University, and second is the Professor J.K. Garg, director, Tribhuvan College of the Environmental and Development. It is the center of the center of the one of the good Nalanda University, which is the already the known for the and the guru of the this one in the India. So it will be very old, and apart from the 2 lectures of the young professionals of the NIDMs. So all the lectures will be the related and it will be the very good. So we will assemble tomorrow at 2 p.m. The same Zoom link will be the work for all 3 days. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.